The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. I just picked this book up from the library yesterday and I've actually started reading it already because I'm not gonna lie, I was really worried that I was gonna DNF this book. I thought about creating a whole vlog about it, but then I was like, you need to actually read it because what if you end up hating it? And that is not the case. I am actually really enjoying it, which is crazy surprising to me. I'm actually taking my time with this book and I decided to read it really slowly just because fantasy is usually a genre that is really hard for me to read. But I am already at page 127 with me reading slowly, so I feel like that's pretty good progress. But first of all, can I just say that I love this cover so much. I love the black and gold detail. I know it's hard to see because it's a library copy, so it's like all shiny, but and then the inside of the book has these really pretty paper. And anyway, if I end up loving this book, maybe I'll actually buy it. But I really am liking this book. So if you don't know, The Invisible Life of Addie Larue is a book by V. Schwab that just came out literally on October 5th, I think. So it's a brand new release, and it's about this girl named Addie Larue who in 1714 in France decided to make a bargain where she was going to live forever, but she was going to be forgotten by every person that she meets until she meets a man in a bookstore who remembers her name. So let me just tell you the reasons why I thought I was going to not like this book. One, fantasy is not my genre, and it's a genre that I've always really struggled with. I've always wanted to be a fantasy nerd and like only read fantasy and just get really into the magical and the adventure, but that's not the case. Like usually fantasy is really, really hard for me. So that was one reason. Also, I have read one of V.E. Schwab's books before. It was A Darker Shade of Magic, and I really didn't like it. It didn't connect with me. But for some reason, when I saw this book, it intrigued me. And I kind of just can tell if I'm gonna like a book when I see it. So I decided to pick this book up and I'm really liking it. I think the writing is so beautiful. It gives you like this total atmospheric vibe. It's so well written and I really like the character. I think it's really nice that we're following one main character and it is a female, which honestly, all the fantasy books that I read, I've never read one where the main character was a female. So that is pretty cool. I also think one of the main reasons why I like this book is that it honestly reads more like a literary fiction novel rather than a fantasy novel. So it's kind of like literary fiction with a fantastical element rather it being like totally hardcore fantasy. And this book kind of goes back and forth in time between, so it's like cross-generational because she like lives forever, but it's like her in France in like the 1700s and then in like modern day, like 2014 in New York City. Okay, I did not know that this book took place in New York City, but obviously that is one thing in books that I usually love. And so I was so excited that she is in New York City and Paris. So you get both of those like really big city atmospheres. And anyway, I really like this book and I kind of just like wanted to chronicle my reading experience with it. And something else that is really exciting is that I'm actually going on a trip this weekend. So it is currently Thursday, and this weekend I'm planning on going to the Berkshires in Massachusetts, which I've never been to the Berkshires or Massachusetts before, so I'm really excited. It's going to be a fall themed vacation. So basically what the plan is we're gonna go hiking and then we're gonna do like, look at all of the changing of the leaves and the foliage because I'm from the West Coast and that's not really a thing out where I'm from. So I've never actually seen like all of the leaves change or like seen like a forest with all like orange and yellow leaves. And obviously Massachusetts is what I think of when I think of fall. So I'm really excited to go there, and obviously I'm going to take you along the way. So this reading vlog is basically going to be kind of a reading experience and review of The Invisible Life of Addie Larue and also a trip to the Berkshires. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just continue reading this for the next couple of days, and then I might update you guys on Saturday, so right before I leave, and then we will let the adventure begin. it is officially Saturday, and I wanted to give you guys a brief reading update on where I'm at in The Invisible Life of Addie Larue. So I made it to page 252, so I think I'm a little bit over halfway done at this point, and I'm honestly loving this book so much, which is so rare for me to say about a book. I'm usually a really picky reader, and this book honestly just reminds me why I love reading so much. It's the exact book that I've been looking for so long. So let me just go through some of the reasons why I love this book so much now that I'm a little bit further of the way through. But this book, the writing, I think I said earlier, is just absolutely beautiful. It is so poetic, and it honestly is so atmospheric. It's the perfect fall read because it's so cozy, and it's probably why it came out in October. And I'm so glad that I decided to read it in October, just because yesterday it was like really rainy outside, and I was reading this book and it just felt so atmospheric, and it was just so cozy, and I just love that in a book. So that's one of the main reasons why I love this book so much. Also, I would say it's like not quite a fantasy book. It more reads like a literary fiction book with fantastical elements, which I really like because I struggle with fantasy a lot, and I feel like V.E. Schwab made the fantasy part of the book really accessible, where it didn't feel like too cheesy or weird. Something that could actually happen, I guess, like in like the fantasy world. And I also really like how she switches back and forth in time between like the 1700s in France and then modern day New York City. I like the balance of the two because it's nice to get that, you know, atmospheric vibe of like old version of like Europe and her experience in Europe, but then you also get like the relatable experience of her living in New York City or just like any big city in like modern day. And I just feel like that's kind of nice because it makes it more relatable. I think if this book was primarily just set in the 1700s, it wouldn't be as accessible to me. A lot of the times why I don't read historical fiction, especially historical fiction that goes back a few hundred years, just because the lifestyles and what people did is just so different. It's hard for me to kind of get into that mind space. But now I feel like since she does like the balance of the two, it's just great. I love it. And I also, the fact that it's New York City, would I like this book as much if the modern day portion wasn't set in New York City? Maybe not. But I just do love how she talks about like certain landmarks in New York City. A lot of this book is in Brooklyn, but she also has scenes where they're in Manhattan, and I just really love that. For anyone else who likes New York, that's a really great element. I also really like the main character. I think she's really interesting. I like how stubborn and determined she is. I think that's really cool. And then the main character guy, Henry, I guess would be the main character guy. I just got to the part where I'm starting to learn more about him yet, so I don't like have his fully fleshed out story, but it seems like he's going to be really interesting as well. So I believe this book, it has like a really heavy romance element to it, but at least where I'm at in the book right now, it feels like the romance is like really a slow burn, and it's not like in your face cheesy romance the whole time. I kind of like when there's like romance in a book we don't even realize there's romance. I just don't like all of like the cheesy gooey stuff. So yeah, this is a book that I've been looking for a very long time. One of my favorite books of all time is The Name of the Wind, and that is a high fantasy novel. So obviously not comparing it to this, they're very different, but I just love like that atmospheric writing, and it feels like you know the characters really well and you're kind of like in the story with them. Kind of like the escapism, which for me has been really hard to find in a book, because usually I read books more to learn and just to get more information, but this book, it really just feels like I'm immersed in her world with her. And yeah, it's just like the perfect book to like curl up by the fire or a candle and read. So I'm really liking it. I'm shocked. I had a feeling I was gonna like this book. I did not think I was gonna like it as much as I do, but I'm really hoping that the second part of the book is just as good as the first. Obviously, I will update you on my opinions as I finish the book, but I wanted to update you because it's Saturday and I'm leaving for my trip tomorrow to the Berkshires in Massachusetts, And obviously I'm gonna like take you along the way and show you all, hopefully the leaves are starting to turn, I'm assuming they are, and kind of like the fall activities. This is gonna be like a very, very fall themed vlog, but I guess the reason why I want to update you is because I don't know if I'm going to update you while I'm in Massachusetts, because I'm just like not at that stage of my life where I feel comfortable vlogging in front of people. So if I get like time to myself, then yes, I will try to vlog, but if not, I might just have to vlog about my experience when I get back. So to be determined on that, we will see. I am going to be bringing this book along with me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have a ton of time to read it, just because I'm going to be obviously out like in nature and doing like nature things, and I don't know, like this isn't going to be like a vacation where we're just like sitting in a cabin and all I do is read all day. So I'm definitely going to bring it, and I'll try to get some reading in. But I don't know if I'll be actually able to finish the book. Probably not. We'll see. Again, there's a lot of unanswered questions, but I guess I'll just update you guys when I get back. And yeah, so let's, I guess, go to the Berkshires. So I actually found some time to vlog. We just got to the hotel and it's really, really cute. I actually thought that we booked a chain, but I don't think that this is a chain. And the front was just so cute. It had like the pumpkins and was so like fall and autumny. And anyway, today when we got to Massachusetts, we went on a hike. I think I like put in some clips from the hike, and we were actually at the highest point in Massachusetts, which was really cool. And I know that you can't really tell like with the leaves changing, like it kind of just looks like brownish orange, but it's actually like really, really beautiful in person. Like you got to see like overlook on the forest and all of the changing leaves. That was really nice. Obviously I haven't had time to read. We've just been like hiking all day, and now we're just at the hotel resting before we get dinner. But yeah, it's really nice. I am pleasantly surprised with this like cute little weekend getaway, and I actually really like the hotel. It's really cute. It's not like, you know, it's not like incredibly fancy, but it has like everything you need, and it's just like really cute. Kind of has that like bed and breakfast feel. And I actually want to show you, we're on the first floor, and it's like an outdoor entrance. Sorry, I'm so tired. It's an outdoor entrance hotel. So like we have this like little walkway, and then there's like little seats that you can like sit at in the morning and drink coffee and look at like the really pretty leaves. Let me see if I can try to show you what I'm talking about. It's really pretty. So I don't want to open the blinds all the way because again, we're on the first floor and that's kind of weird, but I don't know if you can see that, but okay. This does not look like anything, but it's really cute. Like it's like all these trees and like changing colors. It's like a big field. This doesn't look like anything on the camera, but whatever. That's it. That is the outdoor space. Maybe if we end up sitting out there in the morning, I'll actually show you. But yeah, so we're just gonna hang out here until we get dinner tonight, and then maybe I'll update you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we're just doing like a walk by, I think like a river, not a river, like a pond thing, like a body of water, and there's like a leaf walk. I think you can just like go walk by all the trees and the changing of leaves, and then I think we're gonna like explore a small town, so just spend a lot of time outside, hang out, and yeah, that's basically the plan for the rest of the trip, and I will continue to update you guys. I got back from my trip a few days ago, and I just wanted to give you guys like a little bit of a little update because I haven't updated you guys. But yeah, so I had a really fun time on my trip. I showed you, yeah, the first and second day. So the second day we just got breakfast, and then we went to this like place with like all these trees, and it had like, it just like was like a road that went on forever that had all these trees with all the leaves changing. So that was really nice. And then we just like explored some of the small towns up there in the Berkshires. And then the next day we just got breakfast, and we also went to another trail that had a bunch of trees. That was more like in the forest, wasn't as like, you know, well manicured as the one before, but it was really nice to be out in nature again. Basically the whole trip was just in nature. It was hiking, nature trail, and then another nature trail. So that was basically it, but it was really fun. And then after we did that, we just got in the car and headed back to the city. But I waited to update you guys because I wanted to actually finish the book before I decided to like update you guys again. So I finished it this morning, and I liked the second part, or the second half of the book, just as much as I did the first. It ended really well. I think this book is a really strong book. It kept me entertained and interested the entire way through. I guess what I would say for, if I had to pick one negative, if I had to pick one, it doesn't have a strong plot. It's definitely more of a character-driven book. That's okay with me. I actually prefer character-driven books over plot-driven books, but I know for some people that can be kind of a negative. So like the first half of the book, you're kind of like, what's the point of the story? Where is it going? But then the second half of the book kind of gets more into that, and then you see, okay, this is where the author was trying to take me. I just feel like she did such a good job of portraying really likable and relatable characters. I feel like a lot of times in books, there will just be like someone who's going through things that are just not necessarily what the everyday person goes through, but I feel like she really dove into their emotions and just made them really relatable. Just people going through, you know, feelings of like not being accepted or not being loved, or just, yeah, things that we all go through, and I thought that she did a really good job. I know people have been saying that this book made them cry. I did not cry during this book, even though obviously I was touched by the book and the story just because I really loved it so much. Also, it was really nice. This book has really short chapters, and I don't know why I really like that in a book because it just makes you fly through it much faster. So that was another plus for me. But I was actually doing a little bit of research for this book because I wasn't sure if she was turning this into a series or not, just because I know a lot of her other books are series. But I learned that it was a standalone, and I was actually really disappointed when I heard that, just because I feel like the story is so amazing and I would have loved if this book was much longer. But then when I was thinking about it, I really do think that this book can stand by itself. I think that the story wrapped up in a way where it's kind of contained and complete, and there's no way you could really expand off of it. I have heard though that they are adapting it. I can't remember if it was a movie or a TV show, but that is something to look forward to. But I guess at the end of the day, if I were to recommend this book, I'm sure you could guess that it'd probably be a yes. I really love this book. It's probably up there with one of my new favorite books. I don't know if I want to say of all time. I do want to read it again before I say that, but I actually might buy this book because not only do I think this book is actually stunning, but I'm definitely going to be rereading it multiple times. So that's when I know that I'll buy a book. But yeah, I definitely want to reread it again and see if my opinions change, and then maybe put it up to being like one of my favorite books of all time. We'll see. But yeah, successful reading vlog. This is really fun to like go on this trip and then like take you guys along and then like read this book. So yeah, it was really fun. I actually really like doing these reading vlogs where I just focus on one book. This one and the one that I did previously are just new releases, but I can either do like new releases or older books. So if you have a recommendation or would like to see a reading vlog on another book, let me know. I would love to hear from you. But thank you so much for being here all the way till the end of the video as usual. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next one.